Alright, so today I'm going to talk about a music lesson plan template, free. And I actually used to teach elementary music for 16 years, and I loved it. Um, and so, but the lesson planning I did not love. And so I'm super excited to be able to share with you some tips with this whole AI lesson planning series, because I know that they will help you to be able to output faster so that you can spend more energy and more of your emotional bandwidth on the actual teaching, which is what you love, and the music making, which is what you love, and building those relationships with those students, which is also what you love. So with elementary music, and again, this is going to be more specific for elementary music, but there will be some elements that you can apply to, middle school jazz band probably, or, different ensembles. But just so you know, I am thinking mostly of elementary general music, because that's my area of expertise. So you want to have a warm-up activity. Um, I I liked to be able to start right away. Like right when the students come in, we're starting with a movement activity, singing a song, different things. Um, I didn't, especially if they were coming from another special, another essentials class, as they might be called. I didn't want to give them too much time to get squirrely, so wanted to start right away. Of course, if they are coming from their homeroom and it's like first thing in the morning and you feel like they're totally, listening really well and calm and regulated, you could always flip this and start with like an attendance activity, attendance game. But anyways, in general, I would usually start with an opener, a warm-up activity. Like I would have them coming in singing a hello song. I would play my ukulele. Like with kindergarten, in first grade, I would have them following me, and we would walk around the carpet, and I would play the ukulele, and we would all sing our hello song. So you want to have that kind of opener. That should be 5 minutes or less. And just something that you want to like grab their attention, while also providing routine and stability, which is also comforting and also helpful for behavior, and for managing anxiety, with your students and you, and all of that kind of works together. So you've got your warm-up done. I would transition into an attendance activity if you haven't already done that. And with that, I would have my seating chart out and go around and have some way for the students to be able to tell you that they're there. So like I would do like a rules wrap, and the students would pat and clap, and we could go around and I could call everybody by name and they could respond. So you've got your opener, your warm-up, which is like the same thing, and you've got your attendance. And then I would usually have a slide up, like on the interactive board, like through all of this. And it would kind of say what we're going to do today. And so at that point, after the attendance, I would go and briefly go over that with them. And with some of the older kids, you could have them like you could pick some people to help read that. That could even be one of your jobs that you give your class, which we can talk about another time. But so they can read that, or you can read it out with them. And then I would have you ask something like, what questions do you have about what we're going to do today? And then you would go ahead and get started right away, again, because you don't want them sitting too long. So I would have them, you would transition with some sort of a nonverbal cue, like that you practice with them ahead of time at the beginning of the year. But so you might like raise your hands, and that means, in a certain way to show them to stand up. And then you would do an activity. So either like instruments or reading and writing activity or movement activity. And then you want the activity to be about as many minutes long as the students are old. So if you have a room full of 7-year-olds, you don't want to go much past 7 minutes, just as a general rule of thumb. And then after that, you have another transition. At that point, you can break into small groups, perhaps, or transition into your next activity. If you did movement, you might want to switch to instruments, or if you did instruments, you might want to switch to a literacy activity. And then, so that would be like another activity about the same length of time. And then I used to have super short classes for a lot of the time, so like 30 minutes minus all the transitions goes super fast. So for me, that was about all we could really get to before it was time to kind of wind down and go back to our spots and kind of wrap up, or even just line up with like, I had like a special lineup song that they could always hear and know that meant that they had to line up. So with your AI lesson plan template free, that's kind of what you're going to see, and what you're going to kind of be working with when you are generating your lesson plans. And then in another blog post, I might talk more about like long-term and short-term planning, but this is sort of like the basic skeleton of your lesson plan that you might want to work with, especially if you're working with elementary students. Hope that helps.